This week in Archery 101, we're going to cover split vision. Hey everybody, and welcome to Archery 101. Alright, we're going to cover this week's split vision. Now we did a whole episode, gap shooting, which I love to do and I use. And I don't teach nothing unless I know it. So I've been working on split vision for almost a year now. I think I got it down, so I'm ready now to help you learn about it. So here's my basic goals for this video. First off, I want you to have a basic understanding of what is split vision, right? What it is. I'm going to try to show you the similarities and differences to other methods like gap and instinctive. I'm also going to try to show you its strengths and its weaknesses. I'm going to try to show you what it looks like, sight picture wise. Right? I'm going to show you how it works and how you can use it. Hey everybody, alright, what is split vision? Well, simply put, split vision is a method of aiming. That's pretty much it. Now if you want a big drawn out explanation, well, it's a standalone or secondary method of aiming that has similarities to instinctive and gap. That's pretty much it. Now, looking at it, when I listen to people talk about it and all that, many people say it's a compromise between gap and instinctive. They're right, but I really don't agree with that. And you probably wonder, well, why? Well, I understand why they say that, because yes, it does share elements with gap and instinctive, but it's more flexible than either of those. It takes the best of one and combines it with the other. It'll help one, it'll help the other. So it's not a compromise. I just look at it more like a progression, right? And I have to say, in fact, split vision can be used by gap and instinctive shooters to enhance their abilities in certain situations, without the archer having to make a wholesale changing of their aiming methods. So, if you're like an instinctive archer, you just can't go to gap all the time, or if you're gap, you just can't shoot instinctive, but you can, if you're gap, you can go to split vision, and if you're shooting instinctive, you can easily transition over to split vision because they're so similar. And that's where I think people call it a compromise, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as an enhancement, as a tool, because, my whole theory in life is for shooting, any weapons usage, is I would rather know how to use something and never have to use it than need it and not know how to do it. Pretty simple, right? And that's what I like. If I got to make a dead-on shot, I'm going to use my gap. But if I'm just out having fun and there's a target out there I'm going to shoot at it, you know what? I'm going to use my split vision. Or maybe I'll shoot instinctive. I can do all of them. But I'd rather be able to do all of them and not any of them. Alright everybody, let's talk about similarities, right? So what is the similarity between split vision and instinctive? Well, they're very similar in that your primary focus is on the target. Both of them, you look at the target, right? And the other one is you don't need to know the distance. So when you shoot split vision, you can know the distance, but you don't have to. So that's how it's very similar to instinctive, right? Now, how is it similar to gap? Well, it's similar to gap in that you actually see the arrow. It's just you don't focus on it, use it more as a reference point. Now, what's the differences? Well, the difference is for like instinctive, unlike instinctive and split vision, you are aware of where that arrow is, right? And what you do is you make a mental note of where that arrow is. You don't fixate on it. You don't focus on it. You make a mental note of where it is. Now, what's the difference for gap? Well, the arrow is not the primary point of focus. When you shoot gap, you're looking down that arrow, putting that arrow on a specific point. But when you use split vision, you're looking at the point and you see the arrow out of your peripheral vision. And unlike gap, with split vision, you do not need to know the range. You can use it as a guesstimate method. Whereas in gap, you can use guesstimate, but if you're making a really quality shot, you want to know the exact range. Alright, now that we know the similarities, what's the strength of split vision and the different things about it? Well, for the instinctive archer, the strength of using split vision It allows the archer to make adjustments while shooting multiple arrows at the same target. So what am I saying? Well, this really pays off if you are an instinctive archer and you're doing target archery. All right, you shoot your first arrow down here. How do you make an adjustment if you're shooting instinctive because you're only focused on this? So it allows the instinctive archer to bring things back over. And that's helpful in target archery and in long distance shots. All right, and what it also, the other thing it would do for the instinctive archer, it's an easier way for you to transition over to gap. I know a lot of instinctive archers that shoot instinctive, they can't go to gap because it's just too much difference. But if you go from instinctive, split vision to gap, split vision is a great bridge between the two. So what's the strengths of a gap shooter using split vision? Well, what it does is it actually just allows the gap shooter to release an arrow in less period of time. You know, this can be helpful with hunting, moving targets, and aerial targets. So now we know the strengths of, for each type using it. What's the weaknesses for each type? Well, if you're an instinctive archer, the weakness of split vision is just not as fast as instinctive. You just can't rip it and grip it, snap shoot, whatever you want to call it. Right? It's just a slower method because you actually got to take time to make that little mental note. It's a fraction of a second, but it's still slower. What's the difference for gap? Well, biggest one is it's not as accurate as gap because you're not focusing on that point and you're not getting everything set. Right? So now maybe you can see why people actually say it's a compromise. And they're not wrong. I'm not arguing with them, but you can see, yeah, we're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're compromising between the two. Like I said, I like to look at it as a progression or a bridge between the two. All right, everybody, how do you use it? Well, we're going to do it from the two persons' perspectives, right? I'm going to show how to use it if you're an instinctive shooter, if you're a gap shooter. So we're going to start off first with instinctive shooter. So I took this little target, I put it down here. I'm going to be 20 yards away, and I'm going to shoot an arrow at it, and I'll show you how to use it. It's pretty simple, right? And it's a great tool to have. You know, a lot of instinctive archers, gap archers, people are very defensive about how they shoot. They won't go any other way because this is what I do. My theory is real simple. I would rather be able to do something and not use it than need something and don't know how to do it. You know, there might be that time that I need to shoot gap where I need a very, very precise shot. I must make that shot. Are you going to trust it to instinctive to do it, or would you rather have a system in which you can do it? Vice versa. You're out there hunting or you're doing something and you got to make a quick snap shot. You know, you got to be able to do it all. And that's my personal thing. I like to be able to shoot all different ways. And then if I have to, I can do it. If not, I don't have to do it. All right, enough babbling. Let me go back. Let's sit up. Let's take some shots and show you how to use it, split vision if you're an instinctive archer. All right, I'm ready to shoot. A couple things. To make this a little more realistic, I'm shooting a bow I haven't shot in over a year. I've never gapped it. I've never used it as gap. I only shot it as instinctive. Normally I shoot a tab, shoot in a glove. Arrows I'm using, this is a 40-pound bow. They're tuned for a 50-pound bow. So I'm throwing all these variables just to make it a little harder on me. So how do you use split vision? Well, I'm going to go up and draw just like we showed you earlier. I'm going to go up, hit full draw. I'm going to make a mental note of where my arrow is, but I'm going to focus on that black dot. Then I'm going to let it rip. All right, so let's do that. All right. Wow. Not bad. So I know where I hit at, and I know where I was looking. So what I'm going to do now, my next arrow, I'm going to move it up. And then I'm going to go down, and I'm going to show you on the board exactly what I did. All right, so this one, all right, I brought it over. It looks like I got to go a little higher. Not bad. A little higher. That's about right. All right, got my 4 arrows. I've made my adjustments. Now we're going to go down and I'm going to show you what happened. All right, everybody, here we are downrange. Shot 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So on the first shot, my arrow, that's why I said whoa, it's all the way down here. My second shot, I brought it over to try to get it in line, which is about here. My third shot was about here. And then finally my fourth shot, which really amazed me, I was roughly that close to the line. So you can see by using split vision, I knew the mental note here and I seen where it hit. Right? It was in line, which told me the first thing, okay, you know what, these arrows will fly pretty good out of it. So I wanted to bring it over closer, so I brought it over here, landed there, so I knew my left or rights were good. Then I brought it up, shot to there, brought it up, and I clipped the black. All within 4 arrows. And that's pretty much how you use it. You take the first shot, you make a note. Then you make an adjustment. If you shoot instinctive, you can't make these adjustments. You're just staring here. And that's where I stared. I just also noticed where it was down here. So that's a great tool, especially for instinctive archers, right? If you're an instinctive archer, this is a great tool to help you make adjustments. You go to a field archery course, or you shoot indoor targets, you got to make adjustments, and that allows you to do it. All right, that's the simplest way to show you how to use it, just basically using it. And what we're going to do next, I'm going to show you if you're a gap shooter how to use it, and then we're going to take you outdoors and show you how you can use it for field archery, hunting, and then we'll wrap it all up. All right, everybody, you've seen the last one, right? That's how you actually use it. Now, you notice I was shooting 300, so people are probably out there, Greg, I'm instinctive. I don't shoot 300, I shoot split. Okay, the biggest thing you have to know about the difference between split and 300 is that arrow placement's way different, right? Very much different. I'm going to shoot split finger, index corner of the mouth. I'm going to put my arrow, let's see, right there, the base of that wood and the floor. And let's show you where it's at. And then we'll work our way and see if I can get a better shot in. See how I went way high, a little left? So, by knowing where that arrow point is. Now, once I get my arrow there, I can pull my vision up or I can leave it, use my peripheral. It's 2 ways of doing it. So now let's see if we can make an adjustment. I got to come a little farther down. So I'm going to come right there. See the different color floor? Let's see what happens. Right next to the other one. Well, that was me. I think I raised it. Let's try that again. There we go. So I got to be just in front of that white floor, I believe. And there we go. All right? So that second one was me. See, when you stare at the X a lot of times, you go back to shooting instinctive, which I did. All right, let's take it down, take a look at it. But that's how I'd use it when I'm shooting. It can still be done the same way, can it? But look at the size difference. See that white piece of tape? Has 3 under. That white, that line right there, different type of floor, that is where it is for split finger. That's something you got to know about. You know, and it takes a while. I have to say, sitting there at full draw, that sight picture is so different than what I was used to. My mind was like, this is not right. And that's something you got to overcome. All right, let's go down and take a look at it. And let's move on to show you how we can use gap with split vision. All right, everybody, here we are downrange. First one, me screwing up. Third one, fourth one in the black. Right, and you've seen how far down I had to go. But that's the beauty of using split vision if you're an instinctive archer. I don't stress about where the arrow is. I pull back, look at the where I want it to hit, but make that mental note and see where that arrow is. I don't take my focus off of what I'm doing, but I do make a mental note. You don't change your point from here to here. You open your field of vision up. It's going to take a while. But as you can see, this is why it's so great. So I was able to make adjustments. And like I said before, it's really great for target archery. All right, gap shooters. Let me show you, see if I can show you how we can use split vision in gap. All right, everybody, how do you use gap and split vision? I'm not going to lie to you. Split vision is not nearly as accurate as gap. I shot that split vision, all right? But if you're ever out there shooting, having a rough day, you know, it's just something's not right. Your mind's not set in there. It's running around. That's when I fall back to split vision because I got to hyper focus on that point. I still see the X. So what I do is when I draw back, I get my arrow on my point, hold it there for a second, and slowly bring my focus up to the X. And then I burn it in the X. Because my mind, my subconscious or unconscious mind, whatever you want to call it, will keep that arrow point where it needs to be. And I can burn, I can block everything out, just really burn it in there. So that's how you can use it. Now, it's not the best way, but it's, again, it's just a little tool to have. You ever having that bad day instead of sitting there trying to make all those adjustments? Screw that. You know where your arrow needs to be. Let's just focus on one thing. All right? Now, we're going to go outdoors. I'm going to try to show you how to use split for field archery. All right, everybody, here I am. Field archer's course. I am not a field archer. All right? But a lot of people are, and this is a great place to show you where you can use split vision to enhance your instinctive shooting. I have a target uphill, about 35 to 40 yards away. All right. I don't gap this bow. I don't know it. I'm going to shoot split finger, anchor here, and let's see how I do. Normally I only get 3 arrows, but I'm going to shoot all my white ones just so we can get an idea of what we're working here. So I'm going to stare on the yellow dot, but I'm going to make a mental note of where my arrow's at. I got good instinct, don't you, Gregory? All right, so obviously I would have to make no adjustments. So let's see if I can do it again. My arrow was on the bottom of the ground under the bale house. Yep, that's where it needs to be. So this ain't going to show you a whole lot of corrections, but at least it allows me to lock in, right? Greg's not a field archer. So that would have been my points right there. I think a 5, 5, and a 4. All right. So what I'll do now is I'll back up. We're going to go some long distance, all right? Obviously, that was a bad example. I'm going to leave it in the video. That was a bad example because my instincts were right off the bat. You just can't plan this stuff. All right, let's back it up and try this one more time. All right, now we're about 45 yards out. Now, a little cheater knowledge for you. Common setup, split fingered, everything's set about right. Most people's point on is like 45 to 55. So we'll find out. Now, I'm not going to do point on, but I will make a note by using my split vision. And then we'll see how we can do. I don't think I'm going to beat the last one. An X, a 5, and a 4. All right, I put it on the bottom of the black plastic, which tells me it's close to point on. What did I do? I used my flip. I still stared at that yellow, but I made sure my point was just a little bit below it. And that is how you can make adjustments when you shoot instinctive. I'm not focused on that arrow, but I am cognizant of where it is. Try one more. Bad shot. That's all right. But now hopefully you got an idea of it. So that's how you can do it. Now, what if you're a gap shooter? How could you use split vision here? Pretty much don't want to. Just stick with your gap, all right? But the next scenario, that's where we're going to help the gap shooters. All right, not bad. I'm just amazed at how easy it is. You know, that's why I like split vision, because it gives me the best of both worlds. I can stare at the X, but I know what's going on. And I think that's a big key. You always got to know what's going on. I'm just not a person that can blindly shoot and just trust everything. I actually have to know and understand what's going on. All right, let's move on to the next stun and show you the hunting scenario. All right, everybody, here we are in my totally 100% unrealistic hunting scenario. Yep, I just happened to be on an archery range and a deer on stilts with its back legs taped up with electrical tape just happened to stop totally broadside in front of the archery backstop. All right, everybody, don't mind my stupid little skit. I just seen this. That's the first thing that popped in my head. All the animals are in because it's end of 3D season and we have bears at maul them. Hunting. Instinctive archers. This is your playground. This is what you were designed to do. So split vision is not really something you need. Something you can do. Yeah, that's good. Something you can use though, right? When you're drawing, just make a mental note. Because you may hit the same size deer the same distance, and now you got something to go by, or something to reference the shot off of. All right, so it can be used. But if you don't, no problem. Gap shooters. Everybody says gap shooting is not good for hunting. I totally disagree. You know, the points they bring up is, oh, the distance, you know, it takes time to estimate distance, finding your spot. Yeah, but gap shooting can be done really quick too, you know. Like I said earlier, you got to have the skill, and even though you don't have to use it, you know, if I want to make a perfect shot on a target, I am going to work my gap. I'm going to work everything perfect. But I got a moving aerial target. I don't have time to do that. So that's when I fall back to my split vision and sort of instinctive. Now that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do an instinctively split vision shot with this bow. Because if you remember, right, I don't know the gaps to this. Now, I have an ideal 3 under because I shot those targets indoors and in the field. But I'm going to go back to 3 under now because that's what most gap shooters use. So we're going to give it a try. Now, this animal is about 18 yards away. Most of my bows, I know at 18 yards, my gap is around 15 inches, which is usually about their kneecap. But this one, from the indoors, it feels more like 6 inches. So I'm looking at my animal and I got to figure it out. So I think it's on his belly. So if you'll see there's a chunk of foam missing in the white, that's where I'm going to put my arrow. But I'm going to focus on where I want it to go. And let's see if I make a decent shot, what happens here. And there we go. You know what? Not a bad call. Yeah, a little to the right. But that's how you can use it. See, I didn't sit there and figure it all out. I didn't stress over it. I just figured that's where it should go. A little high. But I'm just going to work it. You know what? Because it feels good. And I got a really dumb deer because I shot it 3 times and it hasn't moved. Okay, so the one too high is because I'm going to a different anchor. And there you go. See, all I did through all those shots is stare where I wanted it to go. But I used my peripheral vision to know that it needed to be on the belly. And that's how a gap shooter can use it. And that's why gap guys, this is a great tool for you to use, right? You know what? I'm out shooting. If I'm doing target archery, yeah, I want that perfect shot. And I want that gap just perfect. But I'm walking a 3D course with my buddies and we're just having fun. You know, when I look at it, go, yeah, 20 yards, just let it go. And I use split vision. And I have just as much fun. All right, so there's a way for gap shooters to use split vision. All right, let's take it back inside. Let's wrap it all up, dismiss class, and let you guys go out and practice, because that's the key. Hey everybody, and there you go. Welcome back to the studio here. All right, split vision shooting. I hope I demonstrated enough to where you got a good grasp and understanding of what it is, what it can do, what it can't do, things like that. You know, if you don't use it, you know, that's fine. If you do use it, great, but you know, have an open mind on it. That's all I ask. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time with an all-new episode of Archery 101.